Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and I guess this is another example of gallows humour. There was a report this week that Russia is completely trolling us by giving concessions to EU citizens that it is denying the rest of us from the UK. But first of all, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, that President Putin personally and professionally stood to gain from Brexit is obvious. The same agents who have been implicated in interfering in the 2016 US presidential elections, and of course there was a big blow up this week because US agents are saying that President Putin is trying to get Trump re-elected in 2020 as well. But those same agents also crop up in connection with interference into the Brexit referendum in this country. And we investigated it, just as it was investigated in the US. However, in Britain, Boris Johnson has the power to keep that report from the public in a way that President Trump does not. Oh, and before I go on, that report has still not been made public 2 months after Johnson said he would release it. In fact, there's a whole gaggle of reports being suppressed at the moment. So, with regards to the Russian interference report, apart from possibly the front cover, I don't think we're ever going to get to see it until at least a government hostile to Boris Johnson comes to power and then releases it, a long way down the line. But what we do know is that it does include evidence of Russian interference, not just by implication because Johnson's refusing to publish it, but because those who have read it, who compiled it, have alluded to this. So Putin must be terribly pleased with Brexit and presumably wishes to show his gratitude to the British sheeple who made it all possible. Or perhaps he'd find it funnier just to troll us. Yeah, the second one. In order to capitalise on record levels of tourism to Russia, presumably following on from the successful Football World Cup a couple of years ago, that is the game where the foot comes into regular contact with the ball for our American friends. The government have announced an easing of restrictions for EU citizens. Now, the report also suggested that they're going to need to make up a shortfall from China anyway. Citizens from China don't need a visa to visit Russia, but since the coronavirus scare, Russia is closing its borders to visitors from China. So the Kremlin hopes a scheme for a new online visa, which can last for just over 2 weeks, but 16 days, will help boost the potential loss in Chinese tourists from Western countries. The offer is being made to citizens of 53 different countries around the world, including all of the countries in the EU. However, UK citizens need not apply. So the only way a British citizen is going to be visiting Russia without having to visit a centre in, say, London, Manchester or Edinburgh and be fingerprinted and go through all that rigmarole, as well as having to pay much more for the visa itself, is to get tickets to Euro 2020. Well, there's that football coming in handy again. But outside of the tournament, we just found ourselves another way in which we have fewer rights than EU citizens. And again, just to highlight, this isn't a case of the EU simply having more clout than we do alone. Russia is easing restrictions for 53 countries. The EU comprises 27, well, it does now. So almost as many again are also getting easier access to travel in Russia, just not the UK. Expertly trolled there. Well played, Putin. Ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. But there you go. That's, and the reason for it, I gather, is just because of the way the UK has, UK relationships with Russia have gone. They're not doing it specifically to say, oh, thanks for Brexit. Here you go. Here's another lot of irony dumped on top of you. But it just again highlights that outside of the EU, we don't have natural allies other than within the EU, and we're being really mean to them. And we're going to have to start being a bit more canny in how we engage with other countries. And this is just another case highlighting how we've got a lot of work to do. And it'll come as no surprise to many of us who are paying attention that we don't find ourselves with lots of new allies all of a sudden wanting to give us shiny things for nothing in return. But anyway, there we go. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.